Welcome to our Behind the Mic with MAB podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Fontaine. Join me as I chat with vibrant radio hosts, intriguing television personalities, and the brilliant minds behind TV and radio stations in our broadcast community. Today, I'm super excited to be here with Francesca Crechale. Love that name.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Amanda.
Finally.
It took a while for us to get our schedules aligned.
But we finally did. She is the Director of Marketing at Data Street Marketing, a Digio Strategies company backed by the Holladay family and their long-standing legacy in broadcast radio across Jackson, Meridian, and Dothan, Alabama. Francesca brings more than a decade of digital marketing experience shaped by teaching, mentoring, and hands-on leadership. With academic roots from William Carey University, the University of Southern Mississippi, and a Juris Doctor from Ole Miss School of Law, she offers a unique perspective that blends strategy, communication, and critical thinking. Our conversation will explore how broadcast stations can effectively integrate digital strategies to strengthen their on-air presence, which digital trends local radio and television stations should prioritize to grow both audience and revenue, and common misconceptions about digital marketing within the broadcast industry. Francesca also shares how deep listening, collaboration, and truly understanding each client's story are the foundation for creating meaningful and measurable results. So this is a must listen for broadcasters, marketers, and media professionals looking to evolve while honoring the power of traditional media. So I'm so excited to be able to talk to you today about everything digital.
Absolutely. And boy, is there a lot of it.
And it's always changing.
Always changing. In fact, someone asked me today, do you love your job? And I said, yes. And they said, why? And I said, because there's always something new. It's always changing. I'm always learning something. And they said, well, what do you hate about it? And I said, it's always changing. There's always something new. It's always evolving. It's kind of a double-edged sword, but it's to our clients' benefits. So, very important that we stay on top of the ever-changing world of digital marketing.
Well, first of all, for those that may be listening that really don't understand digital marketing, what exactly does that mean?
Sure. So the way that I put it that I feel like is the most layman's term way to explain it is any way that you get your message across through internet or Wi-Fi connection. So if there's a way to serve an ad to someone as they stream the internet, as they or stream podcast or television or consume any content online, we can get ads in front of them. And so that's what we do in digital marketing.
And you can change that ad.
And change it. It's very, very flexible. Digital marketing, quick and easy, fast campaigns, changes, edits, and great measurable results. That's the real big difference between what we do in the traditional media advertising world and the digital advertising world is those metrics that we can see on a deeper level. And that's what clients like about it. And so although both traditional and digital have a place and they work really well together, obviously we see lots of research on that. A lot of clients want to know, they want to dig deeper into their ROI and they want to see results. And so we can do that with a lot of different types of digital marketing that we can't do with broadcast, television, and radio.
And you can give them results daily, by the hour, weekly, whatever they need, right?
You really can. I mean, it kind of depends a little bit on what type of advertising they're running. But for the most part, you can set up dashboards so that they can get what we call real-time data. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag depending on where it's pulling the information from. But yes, it's stuff that they can keep their eyes on. We don't like clients to get too involved in that process and want to look at things too often because sometimes they want to pivot a little more quickly than they should. Sometimes it takes a little while to find and pinpoint the exact audience you're trying to target with digital. That's very different from traditional, right? So we know that when we send out a commercial through television or radio, traditional broadcast, it's going to hit the masses. You're going to hit a lot of people at one time. Digital is one to one. When you send out a message, it's going to one person, generally speaking. I mean, we can serve on big screen televisions that could serve a family or multiple people, but generally speaking, you're talking about one to one contact. And so, as you define and optimize that audience, it can take a little while to really key in on the right audience. So, you want to make sure that you're not making changes too quickly in a campaign or too often so that you're not able to find that correct audience.
That makes perfect sense. And as you're talking about the audience, I had a question that
Sure.
someone asked me last week. And I was like, wow, that's a great question. I don't know the answer. So the question was this: if we had a group of people that were trying to target people that previously lived in Mississippi, but now live in other states, are you able to do that?
There are some technologies out there that allow for that type of targeting. It can get very sophisticated, and the more sophisticated, the more it costs, obviously. So, something like that, yes, I've seen it done. We don't do it regularly, but it can get very granular with targeting. Things like you just mentioned, someone used to live somewhere, someone does live somewhere, even addressable geofencing where you're targeting people at the household level based on certain demographics and psychographics. And it makes it extremely cost effective to target the right people when you're able to really see someone's all their characteristics at a higher level. And you do that through, some people call it a digital footprint. I always say digital fingerprint. So, we have identifiers that we use online all the time based on forms we fill out or where we're looking, what websites we're going to, what we're showing interest in. And all of those things, although most of them are privacy protected and we don't know it's Amanda, we know that we're trying to target Amanda based on her demographics. And we identified her through that behavior, that history, those identifiers, and we're able to get ads in front of her.
It's always so interesting. So, what do you tell a client if you're going in to make a sale to a client? What do you tell them why they should purchase digital?
Yeah, so what I just mentioned before about the cost effectiveness of it is good. Also, the fact that we can see measurable results. We can get very detailed with results with some types of digital marketing. There are types that you can tie into Google Analytics with to track actual revenue that came from people who clicked on ads and know exactly how much that sold online. We've done those types of campaigns, and it's just very, I guess, informative for the client, is the way I would say. It makes them really buy into digital because they can see those deeper level analytics.
So, what do you do every day?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. So every day is a little bit different for me and my role because I run the Digio Strategies agency, which is Data Street Marketing, as you mentioned. And so I oversee our staff that works for Data Street, which we have graphic designers, website developers, social media strategists, SEO strategists, SEM strategists, we video producers. So we have a pretty robust staff that we're proud to offer, and I think that's important to point out too, because we handle most everything that we do in house. So we have people who work for Data Street who are handling things. And, that's something that I'm really proud of the Holidays for setting up the agency that way, because it sets what we do apart from some of the other options out there with media companies. And not that there's necessarily a right or wrong way, but I previously worked for a media company that's in corporate, and there were things that were out of my hands that I wanted more control over, and I wanted to be able to be the one making the decisions on. And then also communicating that with the clients. We, our clients in broadcast, we we're friends with them. We live on the street with them. We sit down with them at church. We go to their restaurants. We shop with them. And so when something goes wrong with the campaign or something goes well with the campaign, we want to celebrate or explain that to them and own that. And so having everyone working for us in-house really helps us to be able to do that with our clients and just have more of an investment in what we're doing for them. And then besides our staff management, I work directly with the radio reps and all of our strategists, we call them, in all of our markets. So if they have a client that they want to discuss digital with, they can bring me in to consult with them, help put together a strategy, and actually execute it, keep an eye on it, meet with the clients to explain how it's going, if we need to make any changes with the campaign. And then also I do other things like this, marketing myself to try to get our brand out there and do that. I speak at some of the college campuses and other ways that just trying to keep the word out. And I really don't think that's everything, but that's all that's coming to mind right now.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
It's a lot of fun. I think I'm in a really good position to be able to help grow digital marketing for our clients and the results that they're looking for.
You need to come speak at our student conference next year.
Absolutely. I would love to. I just spoke at USM last week for a couple of sessions that they had going on, getting ready to kick off the semester. So I love staying involved with as you mentioned, I used to teach at USM actually. And so staying involved in the college world, and especially the older you get, staying involved with the students, keeping you young. And they are aware of a lot of things. They teach me things sometimes. So it's good to be around and hear what's going on.
Definitely. So do you change if a client contacts you and says, okay, we completely changed to target this particular audience? How does all of that get changed in the system?
Well, it's a manual process, so we can go in and tweak campaigns based on the client's needs. And you're absolutely right. There may be a particular campaign with a particular message that needs to be geared toward a certain age, a certain household income, a certain geography, whatever the case may be. And in fact, clients can have multiple campaigns running at the same time, targeting different sectors of people. And so when that happens, depending on which type of advertising they're doing, we manually go in and adjust those things to fit the parameters that best suit the client. And I always tell the clients, give me your wish list. I can't guarantee that we can hit exactly everything you want, but we can get pretty darn close these days. Sometimes things are tiered. So if you wanted to hit people who are 25 to 28, that might not be a box that I can check, but I might could hit 25 to 30, so I'm going to get as close as I can. And that's what our whole team does, is evaluate who you're trying to reach and then also make recommendations. So our strategists want to be consultative. So we want to tailor everything toward the client, and we want to say, hey, you tell me what you're looking for, but also there may be things that the client isn't aware of that we can do that might be better suited for that message or that campaign. So we can make recommendations as well.
I bet it's pretty interesting. I'm thinking like a whole agency of people, and deadlines can probably be pretty crazy.
They can, and you always have, I always tell our staff, listen, we're not saving lives because, it can be stressful in advertising. So we're not saving lives, but we are growing people's businesses. And that means a lot. I always hear people say, I want to do something that means something. I want to do something that makes a difference. I feel like we do something that makes a difference. A lot of our clients are people just like you and me who started their own businesses or are working for someone else and trying to grow that business. And that's something I'm proud of, to help someone grow their business and say your business was successful partially because of how your advertising worked for you. And, that's good for our economy. That's good for the state of Mississippi. That's good for our communities.
Definitely. Okay, I have to ask, because as I was reading over your bio and looking at the schools that you went to, how did you end up in this field?
By the way, this wasn't on my bio, but I want to throw it out there because I'm really proud to also be a product of the community colleges in Mississippi because I graduated from Southwest Mississippi Community College.
Oh.
And so I just want to throw that out there. But yes, so I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And so I went to college and I studied communication. And I was on the speech and debate team. And I got just kind of wrapped up in the world of argumentation and debate. And I had kind of always been interested in law. So when I was going to graduate from William Carey, I decided to apply to law school, but I only applied to Ole Miss. And I kind of took it as it was like going to be a sign. If I get into Ole Miss, I'll go. If not, I'll just teach like communication courses because I love that too, something like that. And so I got accepted. So I went. And I actually worked in the legal field for maybe about 6 years straight, 7 years, something like that. And it was very interesting. I had some good experiences and I had some eye-opening experiences. And like with a lot of things, they romanticize the legal world on television and movies. So they make it seem like, oh, if you want to be in front of a jury all day, every day, you can. And although there are ways that you can do that, you don't, like with public defenders and stuff like that, they don't get compensated enough. But neither here nor there. I just got to a point where I was like, this isn't for me. This just isn't where I want to be. And I could get into a lot with that this isn't the time or place for. But regardless, I decided to go back to Southern, to USM, to the top, and get my master's in communication, which I did. And that led me to teaching there for a while, which led to other doors opening. And so, Amanda, I mentioned to you earlier, but a degree in communication is fantastic. So I say to you out there, if you don't know what you want to do, but you want an education in higher ed, communication opens the door everywhere. No one really knows exactly what it means, and you get this really broad experience and knowledge base for all sorts of different classes. I mean, we took everything from persuasion to interpersonal communication, just all sorts of things. So you really learn a lot, especially for the world of marketing. Those kinds of things can be very beneficial to learn. And so throughout everything that I did, I was always involved in some type of marketing, be it social media management of some type, or when I taught at USM, I coached the speech and debate team there. We revived it. It had been dormant since the 90s. And so I was having to maintain the social media platform for that and things like that. So I'd always been involved in it. But an opportunity just came knocking one day, and I got to do a full-fledged digital marketing training, like a very intense, in-depth training at a job. And it just lit me on fire. I was like, this is fun. This is awesome. Like all the different things we can do and learning how to put the puzzle together so that it benefits clients. And like I said, ultimately the goal of helping them grow their business.
You can tell that you love what you do.
I do. I feel passionate about it. I've been doing it for more than 10 years now, like you mentioned. And a lot of times I feel like people burn out with certain types of careers. This is one that there is so much different things to do every day that I just don't feel like it's one of those things where I'm going to burn out.
You mentioned that it changes constantly and every day. This may be a really dumb question, but how do you know about those changes?
I used to teach, so I say there are no dumb questions. Yes, so that is tough. Okay, there are so many webinars, so many emails, so many articles that are constantly flooding my inbox. Or you can, subscribe to podcasts, newsletters, whatever the case may be. And keeping up with all of that is a full-time job in digital marketing because things change so frequently. New ways of reaching audiences are developed constantly. AI has been a huge game changer for us in what we do with digital marketing. And it's a lot. And so trying to prioritize making sure that you keep up with that, knowing who industry experts are, making sure that our team is able to get the resources they need to keep up with best practices. It's a big part of the job, and we take that very seriously at Data Street.
So talk a little bit more about the AI. I mean, it's so huge now. Everyone uses ChatGPT. How does that affect your industry?
So there are threats I would say on a higher level right now. I think they'll get probably it'll be more and more of a threat as we go along. But right now, there are things that we do that could not be replaced by a robot. They just can't. There are some things that require a human touch, human eyes, human editing, those kind of things. Now, if you're looking for very generic, broad brush things, there are some capabilities out there. AI is still in relatively infancy, and so it still makes a lot of mistakes. It hallucinates, as we know, and makes up information all the time. And so we use AI at our agency to help us be more efficient, but we don't replace our work with it. And I think that's the key at this point. Who knows down the road? I mean, it's getting smarter and smarter. Who knows where that's going to take us? But it is a valuable tool that we can use to help us do things quicker, get an extra set of eyes on things, brainstorm, research, and those kind of things.
We actually just talked about that because I was telling you that I spoke to a professional women's group earlier today on time management, and we talked about ChatGPT and how you really can utilize that in so many ways, and it's an effective use of your time. But I do have to say, I was telling them that there were things I was pulling up on there as I was just going through, like researching some things, and I just noticed something, and I was like, wow, I don't think that's accurate. And when I started looking it up, it wasn't. And so you can't go, it's kind of like on social media. You can't believe
Correct.
everything you read.
Yeah, there's the old meme with Abraham Lincoln that says, "You can't believe everything you read on the internet." Abraham Lincoln. I mean, obviously, that's hilarious. That was way past his time that the internet was developed, but thanks, Al Gore. But, yeah, there are some good uses, but I heard a professor speak recently, actually, and he said he was testing out AI to write a lit review for a paper for him with a synopsis and some other articles that it would cite to. And he asked for 5, and it cited 5 articles, and 3 of them were made up, and they had his name attached as if he wrote them. So he knew they were hallucinations. But it is kind of scary that people do take it at face value. I do think you have to be very aware that can't. And you can check one against another too. You can take something from one AI bot and run it through another one and check it, but there's nothing substitutes good old-fashioned research at the end of the day if you have the time to do it.
Exactly. Says the teacher.
That's right.
So, what did you teach at Southern?
I taught communication courses, and that has been helpful to me in a lot of ways, not just on the communication level and being able to speak and organize thoughts and those kind of things, but also just learning how to communicate things to people who are learning in a learning environment. Because a lot of what we do in broadcast, especially in advertising, requires some sort of teaching. We're teaching our clients when we go out and talk to them about what we offer, why it would be a good idea for them to be there, and explaining how we're going to use their money to benefit them. And so there are some clients who say, I don't want to know, here's my budget, just make it work. And then there are some clients who want to know every single thing from how you get the person that you're going to target, how you get the ad in front of them, all of those kind of things. So having a pretty good knowledge of what you do and how you do it is important.
Do you have any funny client stories you can share with us
Oh,
without telling us
gosh.
who the client is?
I have lots of funny client stories, but I don't know right offhand. I would really have to think on that because some of them would give away some names, and I'd hate to do
We
that.
might figure out who they
Right,
are, which would be
exactly.
really bad.
Exactly. We don't want to do that. We don't want to embarrass anybody. But I never mind the questions. I never mind somebody wanting to learn because, like I said, I have the heart of a teacher, and that's part of what I enjoy about what we do. But I will say this, and this isn't just for digital marketing. I think this is a broader statement for everyone. And if you're a media salesperson or probably just a salesperson in general, you'll appreciate this. Sometimes it's best just to let the experts do what they do. And it's okay if you have some thoughts on it and you want to be a part of the process. But I think it is important to trust the people who are keeping up with those best practices and making sure, one of the things that we talk about a lot with our clients is how often Meta changes their rules, which, Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, and then Google. And those are the two big conglomerates that we work with the most in digital marketing. And they are the hardest to deal with because they change things all the time. And sometimes Meta will make a change and their resources on their website won't even be updated to support those changes. So it can get really difficult, which we've worked really hard to become a Google partner, and we have a designated Meta rep, and all of that helps a lot. But really, those are just two huge companies that they're not concerned with how inconvenient they're making advertising for small businesses, right? And so keeping up with those kind of things is a nightmare. And dealing with those companies, it drains a lot of your time, a lot of your time. And so being able to navigate those kind of things is important too. So I just think you need a well-rounded skill set for communication. And that's why I say it led me to this. It's been beneficial to have all of that knowledge that I have from the field of communication to work in all these weird situations that come up.
I probably should know more about this, but I was I was with a probably one of y'all's clients, and they were showing me some things on Google. And when you go in to try to schedule the digital, then it would come back and say, "Oh yeah, we don't know if you can do this or not." Because, and I guess it's what you were talking about with the rules.
Yes.
And then if there's anything that's like political in nature or something, I
Different
think it
rules. Mhm.
targets it. And
Totally
then
different
it's like,
rules.
okay, now you have to wait 3 days. And they're like, but I need this tomorrow.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, and unfortunately, it doesn't because we have clients who sometimes need a quick turnaround on something, and there are special categories for really everything digital, but specifically those companies like Google and Facebook where you have to follow certain rules, fill out certain forms, wait for them to get back to you, and then, of course, they have these audit processes where bots are flagging and saying, oh, this isn't right. And then you have to appeal it. And then you hope you get on the phone with somebody, or you do. And then you have to get on the phone with somebody completely different. And there's a lot to it. But there are some things we can do almost instantly. And there are some things that do require that review process. So we do like to set expectations with clients and let them know. I always say, generally speaking, give us a week turnaround time for a campaign. That way, if we start it earlier, we're doing great, right? But if not, if we run into something, then everybody knows up front, hey, this was expected. This happens sometimes.
That could be incredibly frustrating.
It is, and I want to say this, it is just as frustrating for us on the backside of things as it is for the client. So anytime there's an error or an appeal or anything like that that we're having to work on, just know that it's frustrating on all sides.
Well, I don't think you have a lot of spare time from what I hear. But what are some of your hobbies? Like, what are things you like to do if you're not working?
Yeah, that's interesting. So, most recently, my hobby was watching Ole Miss in their spectacular football career this season. And no, but I just had to, do a little shout out, hotty toddy. But I enjoy some different things. I play the piano. I like to fish. I also don't do a lot of personal social media. I have to do so much stuff for work that, by the time I'm done, I'm done. But one of my guilty pleasures is TikTok scrolling. I like to just veg out and TikTok scroll. I have laughed so hard I've cried so many times. So I know that's, not the best hobby to have, but it is fun. It gives me something to do. I get to hear people from all over the world and different perspectives and things that are going on. It's fun.
Well, okay. First thing was Ole Miss football.
Oh, yes.
Yay! That was
Yes.
so exciting.
What a great season, right?
It was an amazing
It
season.
was.
Lots of controversy.
Lots of controversy. Sometimes, you're not sure about something and then it happens and then you're super glad, right? Because we all loved Lane Kiffin, but glad to be moving on.
Pete's going to be amazing.
Love Pete Golding, yes.
He's already proven himself.
Absolutely. And he has the confidence of the team, and I think that that's super important.
It was so funny for a while. Every email I got, because there's a me and all the other states, like every email I got said something about Lane Kiffin. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I'm
Yeah.
tired of this guy.
I know that was exhausting.
And it's like, and what about the fake dog?
It was something coming up every few days. There was something new coming up that was, made you raise your eyebrows. Yeah.
It was interesting. Okay, so then you said fishing. Like, are we? I know you live on the coast, so are we talking big fish?
So
Not like little bass.
I love bass fishing. My dad has taken me fishing since I was little. We would catfish, bass fish, all that kind of stuff. But I have been deep sea fishing. It's okay as long as you don't go through a storm or something like that and get seasick. But I'd rather fish on a lake or a pond or something and just do some relaxing bass fishing. Just throw it out and just slowly reel it in, and your mind can kind of wander. Just kind of.
Oh, I always loved it. I grew up at the lake. Every summer, we basically moved to the lake. And I would go fishing with my dad at the crack of dawn every morning. And I was a little spoiled, though, because basically I didn't want to touch a cricket or anything like that. So he would bait my hook, and then I would throw it in the water. And then I would catch the fish, and I'd bring it in the boat, and then he would take the fish off for me, and then he'd bait the hook again. So I
Sweet
kind of had
memories.
it made.
Yeah.
I know. I do remember one time the craziest thing, like we were under a tree, and there was a snake literally fell in the boat with us. That was a little dramatic. Yes.
I would guess so. Yeah, I do not like the snakes.
No. And these people, I have learned so much lately about, have you heard about the snake grabbing contest?
No. Please enlighten me.
Yes. This is, I believe, at Lake Washington. Someone's going to let me know if I said this wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's at Lake Washington. And it's a certain weekend every year, and they literally go and grab snakes. It amazes me.
I have no desire.
I've seen pictures, and I know some of the people that go, and I was just like, I never in a million years would think that you would want to go like grab snakes all day and take your child with you.
Definitely not on my list of, like, my bucket list, I would say. Definitely not.
Quite interesting. Okay, so what was your other thing you said?
I
Fishing?
can't remember.
TikTok, yes.
Yeah, I do love TikTok. I love to. I don't just watch. I read the comments, and they just. If you're not spending time there, I get it. It's very controversial. A lot of people. I know people who won't download TikTok because they're scared that China's going to get their information. And I'm like, I work in digital marketing. I'm here to tell you they already have it. If they want it, they've got it. I don't care. They can have mine. I have nothing for them. Like, what are they going to do with my information? Like, they're not worried about me. So guilty pleasure. Love it. I can scroll for way too long. I'll just say that. You think it's just been a few minutes, then you look and it's been way too long.
That was one of our topics today, too. So I have to know how you answer this question. When I'm talking about time management, I always say, okay, what are things that are disruptions and they disrupt our time? And one of the first things that everyone says is social media. So what do you say to people that are like, it's just a waste of time? That's a hard question.
It is. I think it depends on how you use it. And I'm not here to judge about it. A lot of people love social media and they're on it constantly and they're posting. That's not me. I don't post a lot. I'm more of a private person as an individual, and I, I've seen social media have some really negative effects on people's lives and on relationships and things like that. And it's just something, that I don't want to post, but I don't mind consuming TikTok, what other people do. So for me, TikTok is only a waste of time when I choose for it to be. It's not like I'm constantly jumping on Facebook or Instagram and looking at things. That's just and I used to be like that. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I was in college in 2004 when Facebook was when it was first launched, and you had to have somebody from another college email address had to invite you, and you had to have it was the Facebook. Yeah, not Facebook. And so I get it. Like there was a time when I was like that. I think probably I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer, I did for Lent one year. I fasted from social media, and it changed my life. Like, I just don't care. I don't want to get on it. I know people are like, but that's how I keep up with people and all that. It's not that I don't want to get on it. I do get on and I do consume and I do work on it and things like that. As far as like personally posting and spending a lot of time there, that's not something that I do.
Well, I do post for MAB and my stuff too. But I was telling them today, I'll do my post and then I'll scroll through like less than 10. And if they're in my top 10, I see them. And if not, then I don't. And I move on. But I was saying too that it's so helpful to me. Facebook is very helpful because I know I should have everyone's birthdays in my calendar, but I don't. And so every morning I do look and say, oh, let's see whose birthday it is today and let's wish them a happy birthday.
That's a good way to use it. I hadn't thought about that. I don't Yeah, because I live and die by the calendar. Like, I keep my Google Calendar open constantly in a tab on my computer, and on my phone, I get notifications. So I like that because that's another way to help you be more efficient.
Yes, I do it. I always tell everybody that you shouldn't multitask, but in the mornings when I'm drying my hair, that's when it's now a habit that's because it's first thing in the morning, and so I'm drying my hair, and that's when I look to see whose birthday it is. Then I don't forget someone's birthday that day.
Very smart. And it only takes a couple minutes, and then
Yes,
you're done for the day with
exactly.
the salutations and congratulations.
Mhm.
Cute.
So, what are some like really fabulous clients that you've had, or some that are really successful?
Yeah. So all of our clients, for the most part, are listed on our website. So I don't I don't not mention them, but I also try to be a little, you know, not showy with clients and use them as examples if I can get away with it. I will say this: we've had some very large clients in the state of Mississippi, some state agency clients, and other corporations, and they've been a lot of fun to work with. Some of those larger clients like that, they're more of a challenge sometimes because you've got bigger budgets and they need to see results in certain ways, especially if it's something that's grant funded, then you've got to provide a lot of information in a specific way. Same thing with co-op clients as well. And so eh, yeah, we run the gamut. We're not industry specific in any way. We have clients who are credit unions, banks. We've got clients who are auto dealers. We've got clients who are florists. We've got clients who are boutiques, salons. I mean, you name it, we service those types of clients.
So, if you were talking to a college student, obviously you recommend communications. What other words of wisdom would you tell them as they're coming out into the workforce today?
When I speak to college students, I always tell them you will never be in the position to learn as much as you can as you are now. You have time set aside for classes, you got time set aside for studying. Use that to your advantage. Learn what you can. Go to Google and do Skillshop classes and get certifications. You can do the same thing with SEMrush and HubSpot. And there are lots of entities out there that allow for you to learn and gain certifications that I think will help you in the future. So I always encourage them to do that. What I mentioned earlier and what helped me was having a holistic view of things because I have that broad degree, communication, right? So the more you know about the more things, the better. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in something to secure a job in it. You can learn that a lot of times on the job, depending on what it is. Obviously, you can't go be a surgeon without studying that. But I think that that opens the door for you not only to see what you like and what you're interested in, but also to give you that, what do they say, 10,000-foot view so that you can kind of be more valuable to an agency or a media company if you're interested in going in that type of direction.
Okay, we have been on for about an hour.
Wow, that went fast.
I know, it really did. So let's end. What are any kind of words of wisdom? It can be about anything that you want to leave us with today.
Yeah, I just want to say this. I think it's important to note. Yes, I run a digital agency, but I understand the power of traditional media. And I think they work really well together. And that's what all the research shows. So, to all of the strategists out there who may be intimidated or concerned about digital, don't be. Learn what you need to learn, find ways to incorporate it into what you're selling, and sell the whole strategy, the whole package to your client because it's what's going to benefit them the most.
I think that was an excellent way to end. Well, thank you so much, Francesca. Appreciate you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much, Amanda.